Welcome back to another episode of Over the Glass. I am your host, Jay.
And I'm Nessa. Well, we have lots to talk about today, this week. We'll see if we can fit everything in, but we'll start with some fun stuff.
Yeah, so the Penguins AHL team, I believe, let me double check this.
Yes, WBS Penguins. What does that
Yeah,
stand for?
I have no idea.
Wilkes-Barre, Scranton.
There we go. So they recently had a Star Wars night, which I think the Sharks have done in the past, right? They've brought out cosplayers and they've got, like, I've seen photos. Like, so I really like these jerseys, and I recently started binging The Mandalorian, and not just this recent season. Let me clarify. I legit have not seen any of The Mandalorian until last week. But prior to that, I was like almost everyone else. I was watching The Last of Us, and it ended. I think it was only 8-9 episodes, so very short season. And I was just like,
What else was Pedro Pascal in?
I need more Pedro Pascal. Like, how dare you do that to me? And in our little group, I feel like, why didn't I know about Pedro Pascal before this? I feel like I'm not part of this cool kid club that everyone's like, oh, he's so, like, everyone's just like so excited. But I think the first time I saw him was in Game of Thrones. But
I didn't watch that one.
Okay. I mean, he's not like a main character, but he didn't really stick out to me. I just knew when I saw him I was like, oh, that's the guy from Game of Thrones, right? Mm-hmm. But like everyone else, I've been falling in love with him because he's dorky. And I love that. I love how he's like not taking himself seriously, but then also like, I just really like seeing myself everywhere. And that he's a hardcore ally for the LGBTQ plus community. Right. So of course that instantly, instantly makes someone attractive. And it's like, oh, you love us? Oh, I love you too. So so I've been on a huge Mandalorian kick. I finally got through season 2, so I'm with everybody now.
Okay. I haven't started watching the 3rd season. I'm still debating whether or not I want to watch Boba Fett, because I guess they explain in that series why Grogu is back with Mando. But I heard it's not good, and I don't know if I want to put myself through that. Because I'm actually a really big Star Wars fan. I've watched pretty much every series, movie, whatever, except for Boba Fett. I don't know. Like, I am a huge, huge Ahsoka Tano fan. She is amazing. If you ever get a chance to watch the Clone Wars, the Clone Wars series. What is it called?
I think that's the one that she's in. Yeah, I haven't seen the Clone Wars. I would
say
the
animated series.
I think after I get up to date with Mandalorian, I'm probably gonna go watch Obi-Wan because.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched that one either. Yeah. Ooh, I'm behind.
Yeah, he would be my favorite from the OG trilogy.
Not OG, the prequels.
Oh
wait, OG. Like,
I mean in general, Obi-Wan is my favorite.
See. Yes. Okay.
And then I guess in the prequels he would also be my favorite. I don't know. Like, I'm not that particular, and I think I said earlier in this week my favorite Star Wars movie is Rogue One. So
I really didn't like that one, but I think I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch it, because I only watched it that one time in theaters, and it was a long day. I was really tired. I was falling asleep in the theater.
I really love Diego Luna. So, but that wasn't really the huge reason why it's my favorite. I just remember when I was watching in theaters, I think it was maybe like 20-ish minutes in, where I had this like realization that the main characters are not white. I was like, just, and just the whole the concept behind it, their rebellions, like, and it transcends into like society's concept of like, we're all marginalized communities and we're fighting against the evil, everything. So it just had all those extra layers of it. I mean, obviously that's like the bigger scope of Star Wars, right? But for me in this particular movie, and because it's like it's not part of the main storyline, I don't know, it was like fresh new characters, I guess. Because I'm like, yeah, okay, I like Han Solo, okay, I like Luke, but I'm like, not as much as everyone else does. But in this particular movie, it just felt like the characters that I would gravitate more towards were the stars of the movie. They were way more fleshed out, so everything is just about it. It wasn't so much a Star Wars movie, it was just about these folks that are like trying to, make the world a better place for everybody. All the stuff that we talk about on this podcast. So I think that's why it's my favorite.
If you ever get a chance to watch Clone Wars, I would suggest starting from the 5th season on. The 7th season is the best. It's not very long, but I'm telling you, Ahsoka Tano, such a badass character. I love that Dave Filoni created her, and Rosario Dawson plays her in The Mandalorian.
I know, and I'm a big fan of Rosario Dawson.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. So her, and then Bo-Katan also pretty badass. I don't know, that whole episode. Anyways, we're getting off track here.
Yes, but I have to say the actor who plays Bo-Katan, I'm a huge fan of her because of why is it at the tip of my tongue and I can't say it now? Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, okay.
Huge fan.
I'm pretty sure she actually did the voice for Bo-Katan in the Clone Wars series. So I thought that was pretty cool that they decided to have her play her in the series live action. So, fun facts. Anyways, check out the jersey. It's pretty cute. It has Grogu on it. That's all for pop culture. More serious topics.
Yeah, so why are people being lame and
intrusive,
harassing Connor Bedard's family? Like, this is sad to me because, like, I try to temper my, like, obviously being Sharks fans, the draft coming up, it's gonna be it's something that everyone is talking about. But when you dial that back from the sports perspective of being excited to potentially get some really great talent on your team, these are a bunch of teenagers.
Yeah.
And
why are people acting creepy? Why are full-grown adults acting creepy and stalking this kid?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
And so for folks who don't know, there was there an article? Oh yeah. So it was reported originally on Canucks Daily. Pretty much Connor Bedard's mom opens up and shares disturbing news in regards to fans crossing the line and making life harder for the Bedard family. And pulled quotes say, "There are very often people surrounding our house and waiting outside. Then they photograph us as soon as we step outside. Someone even came through the back of our property, accessed the yard, and started screaming for Connor. Recently, I had to turn off my cell phone for about 10 days because I was receiving too many messages. It was uncontrollable. I've never been used to that, and now almost impossible to go to the grocery store or the mall with Connor without being recognized."
The kid is what, 17, 18?
Yeah, I'd say he's probably 17. But
that
whatever. Like, it's still, he's a kid. His family just happens to, be supporting a super talented kid who's projected to be first overall. And
it's creepy.
Yeah, like, I get being excited, but, like, come on. Like,
why are you trespassing?
That's not like, just like, I have no words. I don't understand And it's sad to me to think that, I mean, obviously this is probably not the first time this has been, they probably been experiencing this for several years, right? I remember hearing his name like several years prior to now the upcoming draft. So, and I would hate for it to take away any sort of like excitement that it probably has at this point. But, permanently scar a family from what should be an exciting moment of, wow, your kid is, gonna be a star in the top league in the world, but at the expense of
Their
now you
mental
have no
health.
privacy. Yeah.
It's weird. I think some silver lining on it. No matter what, I think he's gonna go to a smaller hockey market where hopefully he won't have to experience this anymore next year, because he'll probably play in the NHL as soon as he gets drafted, right? Hopefully San Jose. We're very respectful of players out here. You see them out in public, we don't bother them. Just saying.
Have I shared on this podcast when I was at brunch with my mom and we were just about ready to leave, or getting the check and everything like that, and the table next to us was getting cleared out, and then Timo Meyer and a friend of his sat down, and I basically was like internally screaming.
No.
And I pretty much wrapped up things way quicker and just pretty much told my mom, we need to leave now. and so, I mean, it's not like we just all of a sudden stopped eating and like we have to go. We were already on our way out, but I was like, if we sit here any longer, I'm feeling like I'm gonna say something stupid, and I don't want to do that. So we need to leave. And when we left and we got out of the restaurant, and this was down in like the Willow Glen area, like all the hockey players like probably live in that area, right? That or Los Gatos. So it's not that would have happened. Like, but after we got out of the restaurant, I told my mom, like, oh, that was Timo Meyer, that like was on the Sharks. And immediately my mom was like, well, why didn't you ask him for his autograph? I was like, no, that's why we left. Because I didn't want to be
bothered.
Yeah, I'm like, we're here on a Saturday. He's here with his friend. I don't want to be that person who's just like, ooh.
Yeah. I mean, Tebo's a nice dude. He probably would have, but you also like they're going out to dinner. They don't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
So come to San Jose, Connor.
We won't bother you in Willow Glen when you're getting brunch.
Yeah.
So as everyone probably already knows, we've got a new jersey distributor, manufacturer, whatever they are, who's been around for a while, but now will be the official one for the NHL, and people have opinions. So
I have an opinion. I would laugh very hard if one of the first games of the season, when the players have to wear these jerseys, someone gets into a fight or just gets hit in the into the boards, and the jersey just comes off. Fanatics is not a good jersey manufacturer. They don't care about details. You've seen the pictures posted of like the wrong numbers being on the wrong names, and the wrong logos and the misspellings, and it's so bad. Like, I have Fanatics shirts, but that's as much as I would buy from them. I don't know if I own any hats, but jerseys, never.
So I have an experience because the thing behind me is a Fanatics hat, and I think that's the only Fanatics thing I own, and I don't wear it as much as I would like because it fits weird on my head.
It's a cute hat too.
It is a cute hat.
I'm sorry.
It's saddening that I'm like, it's got, I don't know, like it. Do I need to put it on to demonstrate? See, it's got this weird, like, it's
There's just so much space in there.
Yeah. And I mean, even if I wear it this way, like it's covering, it's way too high. Like whose head is like that? So that's my
Thanks,
experience with
Fanatics.
that. And
I
so I
mean,
can't
like
imagine
they
the
were they're making jerseys right now currently while Adidas is making the quote unquote authentic ones, right? When they made that switch over a couple seasons ago, you know, Chrissy and I, when I had a job, were very big on buying jerseys. And we always got the authentic ones because you can feel the difference in materials. When they made that switch over, the quality of the material is so like crazy different, and how thin and like cheap the Fanatics jerseys feel compared to the Adidas. And even the Adidas don't feel like the quality of the game worns, even though they're calling them authentic. There's just a difference there. But I am not excited about this deal. Probably won't be buying a jersey from them until that contract is over in 10
so you
years.
won't be getting, yeah, you won't be getting one for a decade.
Yeah.
Like when I was thinking about my thoughts on this, I mean, yeah, like I don't have too much experience, but obviously there's a lot of folks were upset, a lot of folks were sharing like look at this product that I got forever ago, and like it's just horrendous how terrible they look. And I want to be optimistic that, well, we're going to have them for a decade. I want to hope that in that time,
They learn from their
yeah,
mistakes.
that it gets better because jerseys are not cheap. And if you're asking folks, I mean, even before they were the official jersey manufacturer, like the prices were, you know, you had that option of, well, I can't afford the authentic one or whatever the other, like if it was under Adidas or like Nike and stuff, because those are like $300. But if you went with Fanatics, I think that's like around, well, currently I think it's around like 150 USD, I think. So if you, at least, it's still expensive, but there was still that option of like, for half the price of the higher quality, authentic, whatever the heck, you could at least have something that you could be like, yay, I've got my jersey of, you know, my team. But if the price is gonna be, if they're gonna be making the authentic ones now, I'm assuming the price is gonna go up. Like there's no way you're gonna get folks to pay $300+ for something that, you know, like you were saying, it's not gonna hold up, you know, during a game or, you know, whatever. It's just gonna look awful. Like I saw some folks like saying they couldn't even get like the colors right. Like
Yeah.
that's another huge thing.
It's like buying a Chinese knockoff on eBay or something, you know? It's just so
Yeah.
weird.
And just like generally, like I feel like, so the whole thing with Adidas was it was their decision that they didn't want in for an
Mm.
extension anymore. It wasn't like the NHL decided, oh, we're gonna go with Fanatics. Screw you, Adidas. So it was Adidas who was like, you know what? There's just not much of like a drive for us to invest in hockey, which I feel like that's terrible. That one of the biggest sports companies doesn't feel there's that much of a need for them to consider investing in hockey. And now you're going to have Fanatics where if they don't step up their game, it's just going to make this even more of a sport that no one cares about.
The NHL is such a joke.
Yeah.
Like, this is Bettman's fault, right? He has to be the one taking care of this, or he gets the final say. This dude does not make good decisions. I'm ready for him to step down. I need someone with vision to step in there. Like, who says, let's take the worst, the absolute worst brand for sports attire, whatever, and give him a 10-year deal. Why not just try it out for a few seasons, see how it goes, and then if it goes well, give him a longer, like an extension? Why go with 10 years off the bat? I don't get it.
Money. He's
They're
just
gonna
looking
lose.
at
They're
it
gonna
as
lose money.
money. Yeah. Well, if it, I like I said, I want to look at the bright side and hope that Fanatics, proves us wrong. Maybe not immediately. I don't think it'll be an overnight thing, but I want to be hopeful because in a 10-year span, I think I might want a jersey. But
If we
I'm
get a
not.
Connor Bedard, we're gonna want a jersey.
So I don't know. So we'll see what happens with that. But I guess those are all the thoughts that I have for the time being. Um. So the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League announced earlier this week that they will. Okay, let's see. Sportsnet said the QMJHL announced its intention to quote unquote ban fighting next season, with the penalties or suspensions still to be determined. How will that impact players in the league? Blah, blah, blah. And what does it mean for the pro game? So I guess let's start with the general question of thoughts on fighting in the sport.
I'm currently indifferent on it. Obviously, with the research with CTE, I'm leaning more against it. It's an interesting topic because the fans absolutely love it because it gets the crowd going when it does happen. It makes the game exciting, but at the expense of the player's health. I don't want to see someone like, I don't know, give me a player who fights.
Or maybe a player who shouldn't fight but tried to one time. A certain Eklund.
Oh, freaking Eklund. Okay, imagine an Eklund who is our top prospect in the Sharks pool gets into a fight, gets super injured because of it, and then what? Like, what if he's like the top scorer at that season, and then he gets into a fight, breaks his wrists, his knuckles, his face, like it's just. Oh, but it's part of hockey. Okay, but what if his wrist is never the same again? What if he gets a really bad head injury that affects him for the rest of his life? It doesn't seem like a nice trade-off there. Where I don't know. Because sometimes I do still cheer for fighting when it happens because there's nothing else to cheer about for this team. I don't know what to do about it, honestly. This could be a really interesting social experiment to see if they could figure something else out to be able to stick up for their teammates that isn't so harmful. I don't know.
So a couple of things that I was thinking about, like I was seeing other people's thoughts, I was listening to some other podcasts that brought up this topic, and from a league perspective, there was a discussion about, well, it's still a part of the top pro levels, right? This does not affect the NHL, the AHL, the rest of the major junior leagues. So one discussion that was brought up was this league turning into a place where potentially scouts might not be so interested in, because
That would be dumb.
if you don't allow, well, I mean, I'm getting to why that might be, because let's say you invest in a prospect in this league, but if you don't take it out of all the other leagues that this prospect will be going through, then the competitiveness aspect of it, you know how like the culture is, it's like, oh, here's the person who, like can't stick up for themselves, or we can take it out on this person. I am concerned in that regard, where I don't think it would end up doing anything per se. Like, it could potentially hurt this major junior league, which I think sucks. Because if you only got the one and the rest of everything else around them doesn't care about it, then what good does it really do? I mean, yes, it could like be a safer league for folks to participate in. But if those folks have the drive to get to the next level, then maybe they don't care so much about going into this league, you know? And then my thoughts on fighting, like, I've definitely, my interest has taken many steps back from when I initially started watching the game. Like, just like pretty much everyone else, and even folk like casual fans of the sport, or people who happen to go to a game, like, it's the fighting aspect of it where people are like, whoa, that's insane, you guys just like play hockey and then a fight breaks out. That's crazy, you know? Like, yeah, it is crazy. And I used to get up and yell and cheer when a fight broke out, but you know, over the last decade or whatever, how we've seen stories of players who were in the old style where you had a quote unquote enforcer, and the life that they potentially leave after the sport. It's that concern where I am not a fan of the league not caring so much about that aspect of it. They care about not changing the culture on the ice. And it's not that, you know, and then people get to the extremes of like, oh, well, you take out fighting, then, oh, there's going to be no checking. The aggressive aspect and the physicality of the game is going to go away. It's like, no, I love the checking, but I feel like all of these aspects where you decide, like, you excuse the brutality aspect of it, and then it bleeds into other parts of the game where, like, we dismiss, you know, headshots. Like, I don't care if it was intentional or not. You need to set the precedence that this will not be allowed. And I feel like we're not quite where we need to be with the Department of Player Safety in that sense. So it just kind of ends up bleeding out more for me, where I see fighting as more of, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I'm thinking of an example of like how hockey men use the physicality and the fighting in the sport as a necessity because it's an emotional game.
Well, it is for the women's league too, but they don't get to fight.
Exactly. And that's pretty much what I'm getting at, where I feel like we just accept that, oh, the boys will be boys. They've got to get out their aggression. They were upset during that play. And I remember a player said, you know, they were really upset during a play and they wanted to go fight this guy, but the guy didn't want to fight. And then one thing led to another. And because they were so, you know, in their head, they ended up checking this guy and like injured him. And I think the response was something along the lines of like, well, if he just fought me, it wouldn't, you know, have gotten there. Not that he wasn't remorseful, that like, no, I didn't really want to injure him, but I was really frustrated. It's like, but you know, I'm just like,
learn to contain your emotions. Go to therapy.
Yeah. Because yeah, there's instances in the women's side of the sport where it is, the competitive nature does come out. Like in our previous episode when we were talking with Nicole, we talked a little bit on the podcast, and then after we got off, we were talking about our different experiences with playing beer league. And I'm a competitive person, but then I also remember that this is a game, but there are some times where you're going to get really fired up because at the end of the day, it's like, I really wanted to help the team. I really wanted to win this game. I really wanted to score that goal.
And you're
But
pumped full of adrenaline, right?
yeah,
It makes sense.
but I hate using the physicality aspect of this sport to justify all these things, and there isn't more effort being put into preventing people from having long-term effects when they get out of the sport. Because at the end of the day, like when you're in your 30s, what are you talking about? Like, oh, they're old men now, or like old people, to be more inclusive. Yeah, you're not playing this game professionally, like up until retirement. Like if you're just a regular 9 to 5er, yeah, okay. Like I'm looking at retirement potentially in my mid to late 60s. It's like, no, they're not. That's not what hockey players are doing. That's not what professional athletes are doing. They have a life after this game. And, going back to what I was briefly mentioning earlier, where there have been suicides for athletes who were, got a really bad head injury because of a illegal check to the head, or they were an enforcer their whole career, and they have all these after effects that decrease their quality of life after the sport. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Quebec League and the concept of we must have this physical aspect of the game because it's such an emotional game. I think we get away from all these other things that we need to be highlighting, like the mental health, the quality of life after their pro careers end. So
hopefully they're going to pay enough attention to do studies in a few years to see how it's affecting the players coming out of this league and see the benefits, and maybe that way it can influence the other leagues. We'll see.
Yeah. Alrighty.
This topic never seems to go away.
Thoughts on the Seattle Thunderbirds?
I love what the fans put together. I love posts that came out of the whole Pride Night thing. A little disappointed that the organization decided not to have a Pride Night, and that's why the fans put one on. But I did see that the organization was supportive of the fans putting this little event together for everyone. I don't know. It feels extra special because Luke Prokop is on that team, and every single player wore pride tape for him in support, and it's just really cute. That these kids seem to be a bit more progressive than some of the old men in this NHL.
Yeah, I did like that his teammates were showing support for him. I think we had this discussion the other day about humanizing these topics and how more humanized can you be where you have someone within the queer community who is part of your team who is enjoying this great sport and
happens to be gay.
Yeah. So I think that's really lovely for him that at least from the outside looking in, the team understands that, you're just one of us, and if we need to show support through having this pride tape on, well, that's the least I can do.
Yeah.
And cool that the Seattle Thunderbirds fan base had a lot of, it seemed like it wasn't directly an idea from the queer community, more so the allies within
Hmm.
the Seattle Thunderbirds fan base that put that together. So um,
That's
good
very,
for them.
it's so heartwarming. Thank you guys. Whoever decided to put that together, just thank you. Um, we also had, did we talk about the bad news or the good news? Let's get the bad news out of the way. So the Stahl brothers obviously put out their statements citing religion, bullshit. Um, People making fun of Eric Stahl because he was asked about how he was caught on video wearing a Pride jersey a couple seasons ago for the Canadians, and he denied it. He was like, "What? I've never worn a Pride jersey. I've never worn one. What are you talking about? Why are you making this up?" Basically, when there's actual footage of him wearing a rainbow Canadians logo on his chest. So this guy, at this point, it's pretty clear to me that these players who are citing their religion have been, and I'm going to say it, radicalized by right wing media, and it's more directed towards the trans community. Because at this point, it feels like maybe they're fine with gay folk. Like, who knows? Maybe there's a secretly out player that hasn't told the media that, oh, hey, I'm gay and I play in this league. Who knows? We don't know. Maybe there is a gay person in the locker room at some point, somewhere in this league. But it feels like they would be okay with a gay teammate as opposed to a trans teammate, because that's the vibes I'm getting off of everything. If this Eric Stahl specifically wearing a Pride jersey a couple years ago, but for some reason it bothers him this year, him, Reimer, signing pucks last year but not wanting to wear the jersey this year, what's changed other than the media outrage of trans folk trying to play sports, right? And it's not like this is a new thing. There's been trans people, trans people existed for forever, like forever. But there's, I don't, I'm just so frustrated with the way politics are going right now, and they want everyone to be focusing on this non-issue, making it an issue, just so the masses aren't paying attention to all this other stuff that they're doing, right? This is always how politics works. I am angry. I am frustrated. I wish that someone would sit these people down to talk to some people of the community, not just gay folk, but like trans folk and non-binary folk and all these other people in the community, again, to humanize us, because we are not evil no matter what these politicians are saying or these Tucker Carlsons and whatnots.
So something you said made me remember that Lexi Brown had tweeted in response to the Stahl's statement saying, would love to know if any of these quote unquote discussions included queer people, because when JT raised his fist, it was basically expected that he talk with military personnel and cops before making his decision to protest, which he did. And choosing to not wear these pride jerseys is very much a protest. It is choosing to take a stand against the LGBTQ plus community, against inclusion. There is a freedom of choice, but you should have to answer for it.
I have a feeling that they did not include discussions with LGBTQ community members. So, what do you say about that? Like, what I hate. I don't hate often, but I will. I will say I really, really hate where this right wing media and people are just spreading hate and violence right now. Like, I feel so helpless, hopeless. I don't know what to do at this point. Like, we're doing what we can, right, with this podcast, but it's like it's so big and we're so small, and I just wish there were more allies. And we'll keep it to hockey. Like, just in hockey, I wish there was just more allies who would speak up and call it out as it is, and just like Zach Hyman did, you know. He, like, one of his quotes, he specifically said, "These people have their own beliefs. I just don't agree with them." Um, I forgot what else he said, that like he really said something very specific, and I don't want to like sit here and listen to the video.
He he specified that this community is a minority and being persecuted.
Yes, that. And I hate that people who are sharing his quotes aren't quoting that specific thing that he said, only the I don't agree with the people who are against it, right? That is the specific thing that we need to be hearing from allies so that the others get it. We are, as a community, being persecuted, but specifically trans folk in the community. Like this, and drag queens, right? This attack is on a specific group of people within the community, so much so that even within like the queer community, you're seeing a division, right? Like, we don't want to be part of that because we still want to be accepted. Like, it's so messed up. I don't Yeah, anyways, we need more support from allies, please.
Yeah, like what I was saying earlier in this week, that with all these quotes coming out from players within teams, and like I've been finding myself holding my breath that one of these people will say LGBTQ plus,
Yeah.
because it feels like a generalized statement. It could, like, you could put it in another context and it could mean the same thing, for not to say that we want to exclude other marginalized communities. Obviously that is not the case, but in this particular moment where this community is seeing a regression in support within these pride nights, that the league has decided is a way for them to show that this sport is welcoming to those fans within those communities, and now we have to deal with your supposedly reasons why Russian players aren't wearing the jerseys, even though that's not consistently happening. So we did not ask to have to be put onto this roller coaster, but we're invested now because you've extended this olive branch. We're like, okay, well, what do you have for us? Is pretty much where we're coming in with this hockey is for everyone, and now more specifically with these pride nights, and now seeing like these backlashes to where I feel like some of the first things that come to mind where folks are immediately saying that, oh, isn't this what you guys wanted? And now you're all upset, and like they're so tired of having to, they're upset that this is now becoming a thing, and they're projecting their anger towards the community. And it puts me in a spot where, like, I think I try to sit back and absorb that information. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, no, we're upset because, like, there's been things that we're always trying to progress to something bigger and better, right? If you're going to say that everybody is welcome here, you need to progress along with us. And when folks are upset that we just can't, like, be content with what's coming out, that we can't just move past all this stuff and just appreciate a pride night and not have to deal with all these things, the thing that comes to mind is, are you, one, part of this community? Are you, two, a person of color? Because these are all the intersections of identity that all of us within those spaces have to deal with every day. So if you're upset with all this stuff, I find it hard to really give two shits about you being upset if you're not even one of the people that's directly affected. So my thing is, if one player backs out and the rest of the team wears the jersey, I'm happy with that. Is everyone happy with that? No. So if you're unhappy with that, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, oh, you're part of the problem. No. I want to make this space somewhere where we don't have folks who feel that way. It's not only about how I feel.
Right. And everyone's entitled to the way they want to feel during these situations, right? Like you if you're not part of this community, whether again, like you said, a person of color or queer, you will not understand that this happens in our everyday lives, not just in sports. And you are only paying attention now because it's in sports. Your favorite team is a part of it, and you don't want to think about it, or you just don't think about it because you're not part of these communities. This is stuff that we deal with every single day, specifically around this time because of the Pride Nights. There's more light on it. The anger against us, it's again, it goes back to the stuff going on in media. We as a community have a right to be angry because Gabby from the ABC Sports Collective posted a link or like a thread on Twitter. There are roughly 430 anti-LGBTQ bills trying to be passed or introduced in the United States right now. And that's gone up within the past few weeks from 340 or something. Like, you can be angry with us for being angry, but these people are literally trying to take our rights away in this country, and that's why we are so upset with our favorite players. I will speak for Elena here. Thinking, what, and she's in Germany, so it doesn't affect, like, these laws won't affect her, but I'm sure she faces her own discrimination out in Europe, right? It's like this, her favorite player, Reimer, saying, "Oh yeah, I accept everyone. I think everyone should be a part of the sport, but I'm not going to wear this jersey because it goes against my beliefs." But like you just said that you love everyone and you want to support them, but you're not. Your actions are speaking louder than your words, right? What you're doing is not really supporting what you're saying, and all of these statements coming out citing their religion, it's all the same stuff we've been hearing all this time. Oh, you can do whatever we want, but I'm not going to support you. I love the, what is the stupid quote? Love the sinner, not the sin, or something. It's like, I don't want to be told every time that the person that I am, it goes against what you believe in. Like, you choose to believe what you believe in. I grew up Catholic. I understand. Like, I have friends who grew up Catholic and like are very religious, and they've changed their point of views because I and other of their friends came out as queer, you know? Like, it's not hard to understand that we don't choose this. This is not a lifestyle. I hate the excuse, oh, I don't judge people for the way they choose to live their lives or choose this lifestyle. We do not choose this. This is who we are. I just need people to start understanding that this is not something we're doing to make you angry. Like, we don't care about you. You don't exist to us before you started spewing your hate at us. This isn't about you. If you can't tell, I'm really angry.
Well, I did want to mention, since you brought up Reimer, that if folks didn't see, we are contributing to the Trapper Project for every goal that Reimer lets in from when he decided he did not support us to the end of the season. And he has been letting in a lot.
Yeah, we're up to like $33 right now, just
Something like
from
that.
two
He
games.
let, because I think last game it was like 6 or 7 to
It was
2.
7. And the game
Okay.
before that, he let in
That was like 5.
something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. So, an interesting new way to watch the game. Excited for Sharks goals and then excited for gay money. So, and then I guess as we wind down here, I do want to bring up a positive that I saw in terms of supporting the community. Jamie Lee Rattray tweeted out the other day that we need to work together to create a safe space and truly make everyone feel like hashtag everyone is for everyone. Hockey is for everyone at Support a Rainbow. So Support a Rainbow is a organization where you take a pledge to pretty much just, be inclusive, to be, to wear a sticker on your helmet, basically signifying to players out on the ice within the community that you are a safe person, that you will speak up for them, that you support having them play this sport. To close out with her statement, it says, support a rainbow pledge. By supporting a rainbow, I understand that all athletes, coaches, and competitors deserve to participate in sport free of judgment. I will help by speaking up against hateful speech and actions in my sport. So that was the quote for the pledge. And then she said afterwards, because it's about more than just a game, as a proud ambassador of Sport a Rainbow, I believe hockey should be a safe space for everyone. I've been fortunate in my career to have amazing teammates, coaches, and mentors in the game that have created a space where I can feel confident and be myself. In saying that, not everyone has had the same experience. This is why my teammates and I have taken the Sport a Rainbow pledge. We will now and always create a safe space, whether you are a player, coach, referee, or fan of this amazing game. You should feel confident and welcomed every time you walk into the arena. Boom. Yes.
I want to sport
That's
a rainbow.
how you do it.
Oh, look, I am.
Here's rainbow over here somewhere. Here's other rainbow-esque things. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt.
Also wanted to shout out, Laz and Powers had an episode this past week where they had Gabby Ugarte on, again from ABC Sports Collective. They had a discussion about the Blackhawks Pride Night and the Pride Nights in general. They touched on a lot of things that I felt were really good. A lot of the same feelings and thoughts that I had. So if you have a chance to check that podcast out, do so, because I didn't want to touch on those topics they already talked about.
Awesome. Okay. I think we've exhausted ourselves enough with yet another important discussion, but exhausting when we just want to enjoy the sport, but we don't want to overlook these topics that impact the communities that we are part of. But that will be it for this week.
I'm tired.
I know.
Oh my god, next
Any
week,
closing thoughts?
my closing thoughts,
What?
next week is my weekend is my birthday, so yay me, I'm getting older.
Aww. Well, happy early birthday. What day is it going to be on? Are you going to be on the pod that day?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we're going to have a special birthday podcast.
Okay. It's coming up so quick.
Okay.
Didn't even realize.
Alrighty. So that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us. As always, I am your host, Jay.
Nasa, stay gay, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.